Hey guys, welcome back to the Canadian Real Estate Homefront podcast. My name is Cortez Ranieri, and today we're going to talk about kind of the international student kind of debacle going on right now, and kind of this fiasco in a sense of the Liberals kind of backtracking, and especially Sean Fraser, who was the former immigration officer for Canada and the Liberals, kind of backtracking on what he's saying and kind of talking about alleviating some pressure on our housing market by actually capping the number of international students coming to Canada. And kind of, why this is such a big deal is that the number of international students has actually doubled since Justin Trudeau took office in 2015. So at the end of 2022, there's been over 800,000 international students that come to Canada. And I just want to preface with saying that I don't actually think this is a bad thing. I don't actually think that international students is something that we should ban. The real problem lies in the infrastructure that comes along with allowing 800,000 people into a country. And the problem really is housing in the rental market. It's putting a lot of pressure on the rental market. And what's happening is you're having these students come to Canada and you're almost setting them up for failure. And it's not an us versus them problem. The real problem relies on just not enough housing for these people. I actually saw a tweet that in Waterloo, you had kids going door to door, knocking and just asking, hey, do you have a room that you'd like to rent, or is there anything for rent? That's a serious crisis. You can't have people come from different countries or even just domestic students trying to get housing within a university area and it's not even available. And the real problem lies is just too many students coming in. And you're probably just wondering, why is this even happening? Why are they letting so many foreign students in? And, the real kind of what's going on behind the curtains is that these universities are charging about 3 to 4x the amount that a domestic Canadian student would pay. So it's very profitable for these students to come off and just, profit off kind of vulnerable students who think they're doing the right thing coming to Canada because it has a really good education system and it really is a good sort of gateway to get them into the economy and to get them into working in Canada. And studies do show that if you do have Canadian credentials, you can make and you usually do make more money with those credentials. But the real problem that's really lying right now is the issue with the number of housing that we have to kind of house these students. And you kind of have to think about it on a more like an anecdotal end of things is that these students are coming to these different sort of cities, right? It's not like they're all just going to big cities like Toronto as an example. They might be going to smaller places like Kingston, Ontario, going to Queens. They might be going to Western, these kind of areas that are a bit smaller, Guelph University, for example, or even the example I used at the beginning, Waterloo, where they're going door to door and they're actually knocking on residents' door, asking, do you have any room? Is there any way I could rent a room from you? So I think these living conditions are just putting a ton of pressure on the housing market in these kind of smaller cities that do host these private sort of universities and these campuses. And it's almost like a cartel-like thing, right? Because you had Sean Fraser come out and actually say, we're thinking about putting a cap on it. And they haven't said anything yet, but I think like they're kind of letting everyone digest it before they make the big announcement. They're going to cap international students. But you actually had Quebec fighting back saying that we're not doing that. We're not capping international students. And I really think that it's a huge profitability play. And, why wouldn't these private institutions want international students to come to their schools, right? It's the same body. Say I'm a domestic student and there's an international student, we are the same body. We're getting the same piece of paper. We're going to send, essentially attend the same classes. Why not make 3x the amount of money that we can for our colleges and for our universities? So it's created this explosive growth and driving up rental prices and the infrastructure that we have. So I think that, in the long run, what we really need to do is force, if you do want to have a cap, sure, cap it, but also have some responsibility beyond these institutions that are making this outrageous amount of money. Say to them, hey, what's the housing plan if we do let in this many people? Do you have excess dorm rooms? Are you going to kind of supply these people and these international students with a place to live? It's a legitimate question that needs to be answered. And like I said, this has nothing to do with basically, an us versus the international students problem. It has everything to do with everyone is being set up for failure here, not just international students, not just domestic students. All students are being set up for failure. And even people who are living in that area who aren't students are competing against students who might be paying a year of rent up front. It's not unheard of, especially in Toronto now, to hear that landlords are kind of snubbing their nose at people if you're not offering 6 months to a year up front. So it makes it really, really difficult for a lot of even people to get into the rental market. And again, it's putting so much pressure on the real estate market. And then not to mention this high interest rate environment that we're in, we're seeing housing start to decline. We're seeing builders say, builders they don't have like billions of dollars sitting on hand. They borrow money from people. They in a sense, they're raising funds to build these projects. And when rates get too high and land is so expensive, they just say, no, the margins don't make sense, or our margins are razor thin. There's too much risk. And like we saw, I believe it was in July, we saw that 40,000 construction workers actually got laid off. So with these high rates now, we're probably going to see even less supply coming forward. And you kind of heard a little trickle about this in the meeting that the Liberals had, I believe it was in PEI, that they're going to try and incentivize, or this was an idea, incentivize cheaper loan options to builders, which a lot of people have been screaming for years now that builders need to be incentivized to build, and they're not going to build at these high interest rates. So the federal government should try and give them cheaper loans so the margins make sense. And I always compare this to kind of Apple stock, or just Apple in general, is that everyone loves Apple, right? And Apple makes billions of dollars. And it's okay for Apple to make billions of dollars because they're supplying people with products that people enjoy. I love my iPhone. I love my MacBook. And I'm sure you out there, unless you're a Samsung user, but if you are a Samsung user, it's the same idea, right? You love the product that they're providing. So why are we trying to, paint these builders as enemies when really it's just, hey, if you can provide a product that will help bring more rental units to the market, that'll help bring more resale units to the market, then why not do it? And again, the builders' margins really aren't that great. There's a ton of risk involved. It's a very lengthy process. There's a ton of fees and levies and taxes that they have to pay into. It's not all just black and white and very easy for these people to do so. So anyways, these are just kind of my thoughts. There's definitely, saying that in order to restore affordability in Canada by 2030, the country needs to build 5.8 million more housing units, of which approximately 2 million of those are rentals. So just keep in mind that, we really do need builders to build. We really need to incentivize them to get out there and do something. And, this problem, although, we might be thinking, oh, we need to cap international students. Even if we do that, we're still going to have this housing crisis. We still need people to build. We still need more units to come to market. The basic, rule of economics is just that the demand is just outpacing supply. And not just in resale, but in the rental market. The vacancy rate is so low. And we're seeing the market definitely soften as interest rates have really seen incredible increases from the Bank of Canada, albeit it makes sense because of inflation. So we have this, this crazy storm of what we're seeing in resale and in the rental market. And it is kind of, in a sense, it's good to see, it's good to see the Liberals and Sean Fraser actually talk about what he's going to do next and what he plans to do for housing going forward, because it felt like for so long that immigration just became like, okay, we're going to let a ton of people in, which I support immigrants. Trust me, I'm a first generation Canadian. Both my parents were immigrants, but it just felt like there was no plan to it. And we were just going to let people in, and we're seeing this homelessness problem. We're seeing this refugee problem. We're seeing food banks at record highs. In Scarborough alone, 95% of people that were at food banks were not actually Canadian citizens. So in a sense, it's not an us versus them problem. It's like, let's have a plan so we can actually make Canada a place where people do want to come, because it will travel quickly that Canada is not made out to what it's supposed to be. Anyways, guys, these are just my thoughts in real time. I'm going to try and do some videos like this, kind of quick snippets of kind of the more pressing headlines right now in Canadian real estate. The podcast is still going to run. We're still going to have our short clips. So if you do enjoy this and you're new here, or you haven't just liked and subscribed yet, please do so down below. We're also on TikTok and Instagram if you like short form content. And these episodes will also go on Spotify and Apple Music. So, and again, if you're looking to buy or sell or rent in the Hamilton, Oakville, or Burlington, or even those surrounding areas, reach out to Brooke or I. We'd love to kind of help you guys out. as we give you kind of this information. We try and stay up to date with everything. So again, thanks so much for watching, and we will definitely be talking to you guys soon. Take care.